I'm Margaret Ryan with Clean Skies News. Clean Skies has learned that the Obama administration is looking at ways to encourage utilities to switch away from the oldest and most polluting coal capacity, probably substituting natural gas. Now, how hard is that switch? Joining us to talk about what's involved is Revis James, Director of the Energy Technology Assessment Center at the Electric Power Research Institute. Revis, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me, U.S. natural gas generation right now is running at a fairly low capacity factor, in the realm of 25%. Why is that? What's keeping them from running?
Well, they're actually running on average a little bit higher than that. Around 40% is the capacity factor, which is the percentage of the time they're actually producing electricity. The reason for that is twofold. One has to do with the cost of fuel. Depending on the relative cost of coal and natural gas, sometimes it's more economic to run coal plants instead of natural gas. The other reason is that natural gas plants play different roles in the power system. Some are used to produce large quantities of electricity we would refer to as base load, but sometimes they're used to provide power at other times when we are transitioning from base load to a peak or during peaking times, and in those cases it's not necessary to run the plants as often. So there are a number of different reasons.
Okay, what are the big factors U.S. utilities would be looking at if they're considering making a switch to more gas and less coal?
Well, I think they would look at three options, most likely. I would say they are looking at three options. This is an ongoing process of always looking at what is economic and what's efficient. One choice you have is to change a coal plant such that you can burn natural gas in it. That involves some technical modifications. There's some trade-offs in terms of efficiency. The second option is you can close some inefficient coal plants and you can operate some other natural gas plants at higher capacity factors. And so you exchange one form of electricity for another. A third option is build new coal plants. And all those three things are happening at some level for many different reasons. One reason is that you anticipate a need to reduce CO2 emissions, so you might like the position of having lower emissions intensities because of more natural gas. Another option would be that there are other air quality requirements that make it desirable to change the mix of coal and gas that you have in your overall fleet, and so increasing gas can help you there. And a third option might be that you would like to have some flexibility of using two different types of fuel in one plant, in anticipation of future conditions on economic conditions or regulatory conditions that don't exist now.
Okay. Plant specific, what are the considerations when a utility looks at a site and says, gee, we might want to bring on more natural gas or less coal here? What would they be looking at?
Well, from a plant specific standpoint, if you would like to burn the gas in a coal plant, what you would need to do is replace the burners. It's a part of the combustion system. And because natural gas burns faster, and the burning characteristics are different, you need different types of burners. And you can do that. It has been done, and the engineering exists. The consideration there, though, is that what you're essentially doing is you're now boiling water with natural gas instead of boiling water with burning coal. And so there are certain, let's say, limits on efficiency with that process of boiling water than using steam to turn a turbine. Whereas you can burn gas directly and use the gases themselves to turn a turbine in a combustion turbine.
Is that more the high efficiency gas
Correct.
turbines we hear about, these combined
Correct.
Cycle and so on?
Significantly higher than what you would see in a thermal power plant that uses steam as the basis of its cycle.
Well, on the supply side, how much more natural gas would be needed? Looking at the U.S. overall, about 23% of our U.S. electricity last year came from natural gas. What kind of increase in supply?
Well, it depends on how much of the existing fleet you would like to convert to gas. A study has been done, a very interesting study done by the Congressional Research Service. Stan Kaplan there has done a very good study which looks at what would happen if you were to shut down some coal plants and start up or increase the capacity factor of some existing coal plants. And you could, for example, increase gas consumption by something on the order of, say, 10% to 15% if you were to do a very large scale trade-off between old coal plants and these gas plants. There are other considerations. Where are the plants located? Are they located near loads and transmission lines that enter into the equation? But basically, it would be a significant increase.
How about on the supply side? Are most coal plants near gas mains?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily. Obviously, when those plants were sited, that was not a consideration. So if we were to say, as a country, decide we want to take, say, half of our coal plants, we have some 300 coal plants out there at different ages and vintages, we would certainly have to build some additional gas pipeline infrastructure to support that strategy.
How about price? Coal is often cited as a cheaper fuel, and I hear natural gas has somewhat more volatility. What are the considerations there?
Well, obviously, we only have history to refer to in terms of natural gas price volatility. Historically, if you go back to 1993 and you look at where we were then versus where we are now, gas prices on average are now about twice as high as where they were then, based on increased consumption, mostly from the power sector. On the other hand, we have some new reserves for natural gas, shale gas and other things. Many people have heard about this. That may offset the volatility somewhat, but it's a bit of an unknown. So a really, really large increase in gas consumption might pose a significant price increase. It's a consideration you would have to evaluate in making a decision to utilize gas instead of coal.
Okay. Well, Revis James from the Electric Power Research Institute, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
I'm Margaret Ryan. You're watching Clean Skies News.